On the 24th of September 2022, Shylah Rodden's day at the annual Melbourne Royal Show would take a tragic and unexpected turn as she attempted to retrieve her phone from the tracks of the Rebel roller coaster. In a split second, she was struck by the ride, suffering life-threatening injuries that left her in critical condition and would ultimately change her life forever. The shocking incident was caught on camera, which would play a crucial part in the investigation that would follow. But what exactly happened that day, and how did such a catastrophic event unfold? Let's talk about it. This is the infamous Rebel roller coaster disaster. The Melbourne Royal Show is an annual event in Melbourne, Australia, typically taking place at the Melbourne Showgrounds in September. It is one of the largest and most popular events in Victoria, attracting hundreds of thousands of visitors each year. The show has a rich history dating back to its inception in 1848, and it is organised by the Royal Agricultural Society of Victoria. The show is a celebration of agriculture and community. It features a wide range of activities and attractions, including agricultural competitions, livestock displays, carnival rides, live entertainment, and food stalls. In addition to its agricultural focus, the Melbourne Royal Show offers a variety of rides. The carnival section of the showgrounds is packed with rides and games, ranging from family-friendly attractions such as the Grand Carousel, to more extreme roller coasters such as the now infamous Rebel roller coaster. The Rebel roller coaster is a looping Zyklon-type roller coaster manufactured by the Czech company Ride-Technik. The original Zyklon was designed and created by Italian manufacturer Pinfari, and it is popular with smaller pop-up fairs due to the ride being easy to put up, take down, and transport. Before the incident, it had made appearances at the Melbourne Royal Show before and was a fan favourite. The ride is open to anyone above the age of 6, as long as they are taller than 1 metre and 30 centimetres. The track features a variety of sharp bends, dips, and of course, the 360-degree vertical loop. Just before the vertical loop section is where the ride reaches its top speed of 70 km per hour or 45 miles per hour. As stated by the Royal Melbourne Show spokesperson, we uphold strict safety protocols in line with Victorian WorkSafe regulations, and all rides on site have undergone stringent compliance inspections. No ride is turned on until it has passed all required safety compliance documentation. Working at the Royal Melbourne Show that fateful day was 26-year-old Shylah Rodden, who was helping her friend run her sweet stall. Shylah was no stranger to tragedy. In January of 2021, she was involved in a serious car crash where her car flipped on the Western Ring Road in Melbourne after hitting a truck. As she wasn't wearing a seatbelt, she was thrown from the car onto the road. She had to relearn to walk and needed serious rehab, but managed to do so. It was also revealed that she was involved in 2 other car incidents in 2018 and 2019. 2 months before the Royal Melbourne Show, Shylah's brother, who she described as her best friend, had passed away. She was still very much grieving, and it had been a very rocky few months for the young woman, but she was looking forward to working the store with her friend. And when the event finally came around, it gave her the opportunity to take her mind off things. During their breaks, Shylah and her friend would get the opportunity to enjoy themselves at the show and would go on many of the rides present. That day was the 24th of September, and it was just after 5 PM when Shylah, along with her friend, decided to board the Rebel roller coaster whilst on their break. She lined up and boarded, her safety restrictions were checked and given the okay, and they set off. The ride worked as intended, and a few minutes later, they returned to the station. However, during the ride itself, Shylah's phone had dropped out of her pockets whilst completing the vertical loop. I did read by a few people that attended the show that there was nowhere to put your stuff. Rather than waiting for the day to end so she could safely go and get her phone, Shylah made the foolish decision of climbing into the restricted zone of the roller coaster to retrieve the phone herself. An eyewitness named Jack caught on camera the horrifying events that would follow. Jack explained to 7 News that he was waiting outside the ride to film his sister and her partner who was due on the roller coaster next. Whilst he was waiting, he said that he saw something drop from one of the rides, but he didn't know what it was. We of course know that now to have been Shylah's phone. He explained that during the ride his sister was on, Shylah went to retrieve her phone. He said, "We saw a lady in an area where she shouldn't be. A worker told her to get away, but we couldn't hear the whole conversation. She just told her not to be there. The person started to walk away, and I didn't think much of it. After this exchange, he turned his focus back on the track to film, which is when he recorded the moment that Shylah was struck by the Rebel roller coaster. The train was going approximately 70 kilometers per hour down the vertical loop, and it hit Shylah so hard that she was dragged 9 meters into the air before falling to the ground. His footage caught the moment she was hit. To those on board, it looked like somebody had thrown themselves in front of the roller coaster. Eyewitness Jordan said, "You can see she'd bent down to pick something up. I don't know if it was a phone or what, but she was so fixated on picking it up that she didn't even see the ride at all." Jack went on to say, "It all happened so quickly but so slowly. All of a sudden, I saw someone getting taken up, but at the same time, I'm thinking, my sister, my partner." Jack accidentally caught the exact moment Shylah was hit on the camera. The footage went viral on TikTok and Facebook shortly after. Parkgoers could not believe what they had just seen. The people still on the ride were screaming for help as emergency services were on the scene in minutes. The police quickly shut down the area, offering counselling and information. Whilst emergency personnel dealt with the situation, those still on the roller coaster had to remain in their seat for nearly an hour. Shylah, who was unconscious, was transported to hospital, but things did not look good. The ride was then closed down for inspection. At the Royal Melbourne Hospital, Shylah was put into a medically induced coma. Her father said, "Obviously, I can't talk to my daughter. She's going to be in a coma for quite a while. The injuries are horrific. Horrific. She's brain damaged. It's pelvic, her arms, legs, back, neck. There's hardly a thing that's not broken." It was unclear if Shylah was going to pull through. Many eyewitnesses believe there was no way someone could survive such a horrific event. The incident prompted an investigation by WorkSafe Victoria and the ride operators. The focus of the investigation was to determine how and why Shylah was able to access the restricted area and whether proper safety protocols were followed by the ride operators. At first, it was reported that Shylah may have been on the roller coaster itself, falling onto the track, but the video footage submitted by Jack disproved this. The ride itself was inspected over the next few days, and everything came back fine. There was no defects or mechanical problems, so it was reopened. After this, the Melbourne Royal Show CEO, Brad Jenkins, released a statement saying, "It was a tragic accident, and from our understanding, there was a mobile phone at the base of the Rebel roller coaster that she dropped on the ride, and she went back to recover the mobile phone. Regrettably, she was tragically struck by the cart coming down. It is an extreme roller coaster, which is a lot of fun generally, but this was a tragic accident that shouldn't have happened." He expressed his sympathies to Shyla's family, but they were angry that the ride was allowed to reopen so soon. Over the next 2 years, whilst the investigation was underway, Shyla's life was anything but easy, but with physiotherapy and rehab, she was able to walk again. 2 years after the incident, her mother said, "She has progressed, but she still has a long way to go. Sometimes she needs the support of a walking frame and a wheelchair. She can only go a limited time before she has to rest." Although she could walk again, she was blinded in her right eye and deaf in her left ear. According to doctors, she defied all odds, as many believed she would remain in a wheelchair for the rest of her life. Over 2 years after the incident, WorkSafe Victoria ended the investigation and no further action would be taken against the park or the ride operator. They said, "After careful consideration of the evidence, WorkSafe has determined not to take further action against any duty holder on this matter at this time." In other words, they found no evidence of breaches under the Occupational Health and Safety Act. It was just deemed a terrible accident. Shylah's family were disappointed by the investigation findings. Her mother said, "We have not received a copy of WorkSafe's report, so we have no knowledge of what their investigation covered or who was interviewed as part of their investigations." They did say that Shylah herself was never interviewed either. The family has requested to see the investigation findings, but this will take 6 to 8 months, so the story may not have finished there, as they may open a request that WorkSafe reconsider their decision and investigate further. She said, "There was no further information provided. Once we have received a copy of the WorkSafe findings, we will decide whether we wish to make such a request to WorkSafe." Sadly, the incident in question has resulted in significant online trolling and harassment. Her family released a statement saying, "To be hearing and reading the negative comments made in the media and on social media has been hurtful to Shylah and our family. This sort of negativity has a real impact on the progress that has been made." They went on to say, "We've done our best to shield Shylah from these comments, as so much of it has been misguided and, in many instances, cruel. Unfortunately, Shylah has seen these comments, and they really affect her. A GoFundMe was set up to help with her medical bills and recovery, and as of recording, 36,000 Australian dollars have been raised. Today, Shylah continues to recover, and in January of 2023, she moved to a long-term care facility. I seriously hope she is doing better and is doing alright today." As always, this is not an AI channel, I do everything myself, and if you appreciate my work, subscribe, and if you want to go the extra step to support the channel, maybe consider becoming a member. Obviously what she did was foolish, but no one deserves the outcome the story had. I think the right decision was made not blaming the park or the ride operator. I hope she is recovering well. Let me know what you think of this case in the comments below, and as always, thank you for watching.